It continues. A massive shout out here to the woman of the hour, Mom. A massive happy birthday on this November 7th, 2023. Welcome back, everybody. Artist Journal, November 7th, 2023, broadcasting from Mom's quarters on the pirate ship of the imagination. We're bringing a huge cake in. You know, Mom has given a lot of great advice on how to improve this show. A loyal watcher, so again, a massive shout out and a huge thank you for everything. For absolutely everything, and welcome back, everyone. Working on my old mic here. It looks like it may be blowing out a little bit here, so let me just adjust that. And thank you for all the patience and everything as I continue to travel here. Only a few more days until I'm back in Berlin, and it should be a much shorter show today. I think after the marathon of yesterday, who's not going to be happy about that? So welcome back. Look at this machine. Maybe some of you guys saw it. We were showing the work in progress yesterday, and look at how great it looks. I mean, look at how great this work looks. This physical work by machine. And again, we're kind of seeing some of this, the edges kind of get torn off. And it was really interesting. This is why I love work in progress. I mean, artists especially love the work in progress because you saw it wasn't tape, right? Because tape would be a lot harder to get these kind of edges here. Machine was using this kind of like, almost like those old sticky hands. It was almost like sticky stuff that you just kind of tear off. Pretty good solution. And again, one of these, spray paint artists would hang beautifully with wok here. And you gotta love this. Say like the blue kind of overflowing. This actually sold. So this is, if you can't tell, this is a skateboarder and this is the wheel of the skateboard. And here the person is, basically in action. Kind of a fairly contemporary, composition and subject matter. Kickflip, pretty cool, from Machine. And this is acrylic on canvas, physical airbrush painting included. And this is part of why I want to highlight. First of all, doesn't it look great on the page here? So kind of a beautiful way to start. But I thought this was super interesting too. I mean, this is something we see here and there. And I think we're going to just see more and more of it, which is like, it kind of brings up I'm kind of anticipating a tweet that someone was putting out, but the internationalism of this scene, part of what makes this whole scene work, one could argue, is it's a marketplace. And maybe one of the unstated things that is so important that this scene has done is it's created credible marketplaces that exist for anybody that are open. And I, shout out to object.com and Foundation that are open for anybody to use, completely credible. This is on Foundation. Just sold for like $1,850, whatever ETH is right now, to FCK Render, to FVCK Render for 1 ETH. Nice work. So again, I think we're going to see more of this because why wouldn't you? I want to do it. I mean, if I didn't have like a whole list of other things, I also want to release art. I also, so want to do lots of things. But one of the things I'd love to do is put a whole bunch of the physical work online somewhere like Foundation or Object and just start to sell it. Why not? And then you just put the shipping. It's sort of like Wok does with eBay, right? But what and Wok's kind of made eBay work for him. But eBay's a tricky platform. I mean, again, Wok's kind of made it it's almost part of his manifesto, the whole selling on the internet. But what I really love, maybe one of the great contributions of so-called Web3 is the creation of open, credible marketplaces to sell your art, basically with no middle person. I mean, you could argue Foundation or Object are middle people, but they're pretty hands-off, aren't they? You can put pretty risque content, which is a measure of how hands-off they are. So, excuse me, this is another one of those watch this space, sort of kind of things, which is selling physical art via these digital art marketplaces. So anyway, a gorgeous work by Machine here. We saw it in progress, but it didn't look like, it looked pretty cool, which is why I showed it. And it was interesting. Machine's a really interesting artist. This looks great and fairly original, I might add. And great rendition, making it look easy. And even little stuff like this with the blue of the jeans kind of, bleeding out here. Not the perfect outlines and everything. So brilliant and beautifully done here too. So, and just kind of simple background, but it totally works. Uncleaned up background, which is the best way of having it here. So very cool. And so let us begin the show here. So I'm very, very excited and pleased to convince Demon Ego to come on to the Spaces tomorrow on Wednesday. So do check that out. There's already actually quite a bit of excitement here. A rare appearance, and Demon Ego I had to be persuaded because of the English is a second language. So the main issue, some people have said no to coming on the Spaces. It's the issue for several. That's how international the scene is, which is glorious. I was talking to Runetoon about it, and we were thinking maybe there are solutions to that, and maybe even get like a translator. Because I just go, okay, I understand, but maybe the way to do it, if you want to bring on a translator, we're cool. Because there are incredible talents but they're just in a different language. So anyways, big shout out and thank you. Go support Demon Ego by coming to this space, and support Runetoon and myself, of course, too, by coming out to this awesome space. So that'll be exciting. Check it out tomorrow, Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. I have pinned this up on my Twitter. Comments. So, working within the context of the limits, a very abstract title here. And let us look at the comments here. Skomra. Beautiful manifesto by Walk. Agreed. Almost like a Twitter manifesto. How modern is that? How Walk is that? I had read and enjoyed it, and now I'm happy to get your take on it. It almost seems like it should be minted. Interesting point. I'd want one. I think it is aimed at people outside our space, to whom it might sound didactic or a little aggressive, as you say. Which I like, actually. Like, to me, that shows passion. And I think Walk's Italian. Like, it shows, I think a little bit of combativeness as artists. It's supposedly a rebellious sort of terrain to be an artist. So I don't mind a little bit of what I'd call combativeness. But to someone inside the space, everything he says seems very reasonable. And that's a very interesting point, too. Inside the bubble, it's just common sense what Walk was saying, but maybe outside it sounds radical. So the tone ends up coming off like poetry to me. Well done, Walk. Thanks for showing my works again. Great show, and I'm impressed. There's a couple more. Skommer's on a major roll. I don't know. I just keep seeing it. I'm just this, because I have a job to do here as far as I'm trying to make this as interesting as possible. It's a newspaper of the imagination, as I like to say, not a news show. And so Skommer's done really well of just kind of giving me great copy. It's like getting great copy as a newspaper, a copy of a certain kind, we'd say. And copy is text for those that maybe aren't familiar. Thanks for showing my work again. Great show, and I'm impressed at your ability to go well into the second hour without, I think, a break. That was probably in the top 3 longest shows. I think I did an hour and a half before, once or twice, when things really got out of hand about 6 months in. And then I tailored them down to 30 or 40 minutes. That's because there's 6 days of works I wanted to cover. I could have pared it down, but it's just how it goes sometimes. Retro Manny, thank you, Skomra. Retro Manny, good to have you back. Great show with yet another interesting talking point, on-chain art, and also the fringe and outseen artists who are finding a home in Web3, or whatever we're calling it nowadays. It is so interesting. I think it was Walk who was mentioning in what we're calling the manifesto out here, the how Web3 is really just given a lot of artists who are basically nowhere, in terms of financially success, in terms of the arts, their main ambition. It's giving them a second lease on life, really, a second chance, and that is a beautiful, so I'm glad you find that interesting too, Manny. Just some thoughts about Elon's comments and on-chain art. I always go back to the fact that countries around the world are in debt by trillions of dollars, but still have money to spend. Maybe it's all made up. The only reason money exists is because we all collectively decide and accept it as a fact. Maybe same with NFTs, whether on-chain or off-chain or just a tiny piece of paper I write, I owe you one NFT is worth something to a community because we all collectively decide it is worth something. It's all made up, really, right? It's an interesting point. It's almost like if we're going to give value to these currencies and dollars, for example, that are going back and forth, that really, when you kind of dig deep, it starts to feel like a shaky foundation. Why not NFTs with a link? We create a culture. The culture helps us move forward, cultivate. We decide as a collective, this is what it is, and then we do it. That's what makes it real. I don't really care about those specifics. As long as I get to be creative and make stuff regardless of the limited resources or circumstances, or maybe it's just a cult. Anyway, great show. Thank you, Manny. Interesting comments. It's an interesting question because when we do the currency comparison, comparing NFTs to a currency, it does make you wonder. I mean, it brings out skepticism in me in the sense that I go, well, are these going to be around in 1,000 years? Because probably the dollar in 1,000 years, if not way sooner, is probably going to have some problems, right? I mean, so as you point out, the debts here are just one of many reasons. So it is an interesting question. I mean, and it does actually, I would say, further the argument for the on-chain to a certain degree. Because again, if we're going to compare it to a currency, is this necessarily a good a beneficial comparison over when we look in broad enough time frames? It's an interesting question. I don't know, but thank you for adding to the discussion here. Human Boy, great episode. Glad to see you back. And always impressive. I think I only took 2 days off, but it was the internet. I had no internet in my Airbnb, and then I kind of wanted to see what was going on in Palermo, and I thought, when's the next time I'm going to be in Palermo? Saw some beautiful mosaics. Yes, as I mentioned last time. Great episode. Glad to see you back. Thank you. And always impressive, your dedication to the show, even with data restrictions. You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of your trip, and I hope your return home is a warm welcome. Thank you. Hugo, this is Ugo, who I was accidentally calling Ugo42 yesterday. Super episode, and thanks for highlighting my work. And my name is now Ugo42. I saw that, the change on Twitter. Hilarious. Thanks for being a great sport, Ugo. PP Universal, amazing show. Thank you. Great work. And Jonathan Gibson, a longtime viewer here. Your browser will hate me, but you might want a few more tabs open. I appreciate your work bringing all this out with relevant aesthetic appreciations. Rather than extend the length of time, think of ways to convey simpler takes with fewer choice words. Trick easier said than done. This is an improvisation at the end of the day. But it's kind of like, I hear your point though, absolutely. It may seem expensive time-wise, but editing messages usually gets better, clearer with brevity. Absolutely. In my own scribbles. It's true, removing words often makes a clearer message. Consider taking a moment to bring up X-Spaces interviews when mentioned. Leave the link in tags, making it easy. Leave the link in tags. So maybe put the link of the space underneath the show, for example. I think is what Jonathan is suggesting. That's a good idea. Chasing links down in other people's libraries is counterintuitive for most folks. Also consider a day exploring just economics and or technology paths, overview of minting, ownership, etc. for newcomers, because it is just as important as creating. It's an interesting question. I mean, there are so many other people who have done the whole how to mint, for example. But you're right, just in terms of like, if you really want to grow the YouTube, probably little videos like this is kind of gets people interested, and then they check out your other stuff, and before you know it, they're subscribing and all that sort of thing. I'm kind of, you know what, my two projects that I'd love to do with video right now is actually it'd be more kind of qualitative subject matter, such as the Peloponnesian War. I'd love to just go card by card, put 10-minute video, 5 to 10 minutes, and look at all 200 over the course of a year. Let's say I would love to do that. There was lectures on the Atrocity exhibition. I think I could put 6 hours together pretty easily. I wonder, maybe more. Use ChatGPT. So those would be my top of mind, but interesting suggestions. I always appreciate suggestions, by the way, and especially monetary, how to monetize. Some people have given me some really good ideas. NFTs have burned so many, it seems unlikely to rehabilitate for wider acceptance. Fascinating. Chain of ownership too fragile. I'm exploring Nostr now, and I've never heard of Nostr. Maybe I'll do a quick search on that after the show here. If anybody's heard of Nostr, feel free to leave a comment. Denholm Pearson second, right? So Rada first. Thank you, Rada. I love hearing from you both here, Denholm and Rada. And Bulls, the 91 Woods. Augustin Cancino is the author of The Goal of the Century, which was just a fabulous work on Zora. And you can see Cancino on Zora and on Twitter. I've retweeted Cancino's work, so thank you for that. This was pretty interesting. Claire Silver, who, prominent AI advocate, AI art advocate, and artist. Wow, OpenAI just announced custom GPTs. You can make one for anything you want and give it contextual files. Again, you can upload stuff and give it context to kind of create your own little chatbot, as far as I understand. It can browse the internet, create images, code. You can keep it private, share it, or sell it in a marketplace. I'm going to feed all my tutorials, art, and Twitter. So pretty interesting there. And here was the quote from OpenAI, or the tweet. GPTs are a new way for anyone to create a tailored version of ChatGPT to be more helpful in their daily life, at specific tasks, at work or at home, and then show that creation with others, no code required. So you can see the video here. You upload, and let's see if we can kill the music here. I think the reason that sometimes I can't upload to X, remember there's the Elon Musk, if you saw yesterday, I wondered if it was that. And sometimes I wonder about the nudes and paintings. I think that's the reason why I can't always upload to Twitter. It's happened twice, and I think it has to do with that. So all to say, you see someone basically really kind of creating a custom ChatGPT. So custom chatbot, basically, from what I understand. Brian Fry on AI. Lol, in reality, AI shows us that most of what we call creativity is actually generic BS. AI will free us to actually be creative. It's on us to meet that challenge. So replying to Kyle Chaka, staff writer at The New Yorker, AI companies still haven't answered the question of what we're going to do with ourselves when all communication, creativity, and thought is outsourced to algorithmic machines. I think creativity, I still think, art, maybe we might all be doing art at the end of the day, is maybe what's going to happen. I mean, if everything is taken care of, I always think of, if Magnus Robot Fighter, it was kind of, where it's kind of like flying cars and everything. To me, that's not a bad view of probably where things are going to end up in 500 years, if I had to guess. I think whoever wants to make art will make art. But yeah, it's an interesting question. I just bring it up within the context of AI. And here, right-click save, quoting Hyper Icon. Quote, before crypto art, it was difficult for artists to support themselves. Now we can make our art full-time, sell our work locally and internationally, engage with artists from around the world, and feel that we belong to a global scene. So something a lot of us basically already know, and not everybody's working full-time. And I think Sabato put out a tweet talking about basically his side gig, and he's saying, singing the praises of having a side gig, so I don't need to worry about living off minting. So there is something to be said for having a side gig and reducing the pressure. But all to say, this kind of relates to our opening image there, where here's the question. Where would Machine have sold that work, or would Machine have sold that work without this kind of Web3 situation, without these Web3 marketplaces like Foundation or Object, right? Like it would be eBay, and eBay is a tougher slog, and would it have sold for $1,850? Probably not. So just kind of interesting, and this global scene. Santiago Izzacotl also was mentioning, the importance of community and it's something that kind of, it's an overused word, community, but there's something to be said for what Santiago Izzacotl and say what HyperIcon is saying here. This community aspect and this global aspect is quite interesting. Robness with an interesting tweet here. I'm using Rarible for all my crypto art transactions now, besides other platforms that honor the social contract of royalties. They've streamlined everything better than OpenSea. There's no reason for me to go back there. So moving beyond OpenSea and other platforms that are taking the royalties, I'll only accept bids for my work on there to help the shift to a better, honorable crypto art world. And someone also mentioned Foundation is another great addition. And basically Robness was saying, anybody who's supporting royalties, let's go. So just interesting tweet there. Artie Hands has picked up the work from Danielle King, this beautiful, beautiful work. And so she minted it. I was thinking Artie Hands on the spaces would be awesome. I will reach out at some point here. Danielle King, so this got minted here. It went for 75 Tezos, this beautiful work by Danielle King yesterday, and it uses Mprops Open Studio. So again, as you see here, how long did it last? About half an hour before it sold. Pretty reasonable at 75 Tezos, and here you see up close. So a bigger version here. So pretty good looking work here. So very cool. There's the signature. I love it. Reminds me of that Mikey Wilson piece. So just very, very cool. And another kind of interesting, notable sale here. Collected number 3 Bureaucrat by Spiegels Maskinen. So Uxine, and I follow Uxine. That is a Twitter glitch. Uxine picking up a Spiegels work from that show yesterday. So just interesting, notable sales. As we move into the artworks here, look at this. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Cableen might have tweeted this one out by Sarisa Kojima. I do follow her on Object, but just a really, really cool piece here. My Sorrow delves into the depths of human emotion, portraying the heavy silence of grief. Through subdued hues and fragmented shadows, the piece evokes a solitude of loss, capturing a moment where the world seems to pause in empathy. So just a quick description there for this gorgeous, gorgeous piece here. Let me just make it big. And as you this is just really just cool and original artwork here. Let's actually see what it sold for. It's on secondary at 18 Tezos, pretty reasonable, and selling out at only 8 Tezos. Some people buying 2. Really, really nice piece. The color kind of half abstract, half representational. I guess everything could be considered representational here. The horse with the skin color, kind of interesting. The beautiful hair and kind of these lasers, and just a very cool drawing. Illustration. Sarisa is a Thai-Japanese transgender woman whose art reflects both cultures. For 10 years, she's honed her Japanese woodblock printmaking skills to express her passion for Asian culture and femininity. And I brought up another, so here's the page, and actually I talked to Sarisa on Retromani's Space, I'm pretty sure, when we did a space for all of these comic covers here. And I brought up another one, Whispers of Mortality. And so just another really interesting original kind of illustration, I want to call it, here, with a great title, edition of 10 and sold out at 8 Tezos. Pretty reasonable prices. Continuing on, this must be a Santiago work because it takes so long to load. 17,000 by 11,000 pixels, Santiago edition of 25, 196838 nodes. Let's see if we can make this. So there it is. I kind of love the two colors here. Again, I'm kind of back to screen printing and what this would look like as a massive screen print. Could be really cool. Or as a smaller screen print, right? Because at 17,000, like maybe at like 8,000 pixels or even 6,000 pixels might be like, there's probably an ideal resolution at a certain point for the physical, interestingly. This is 10 left at 10 Tezos each. Yuri J with another transition. Very, very cool work here. Transition number 21. I thought a really nice addition here. Addition to the series. Seems to be kind of experimenting a little bit here in the corners here. See if we can bring that up larger. Like over here, I mean, you see, this is raw digital art is what I would call this. Just very raw. Like this, you could not make this. Like it is unambiguous. You could not make this physically. Like this is only digital art would have made this work. And that in itself is kind of interesting. Look at these crazy wild shapes here. So very interesting piece from Yuri J. Actually, let's check the market quickly. Only 5 Tezos, 9 left. Edition of 11. Slow to sell. Isolationist, another violent silence. So remember we saw later in the episode the blood coming from the head or what looked like kind of red. Well, this looks like kind of a follow-up piece. I think this is a physical NFT. It's all blending together. The physical, the AI, the regular kind of digital painting. It's all starting to blend together here. And that really cool hand here. I don't know if you can see the outline of the hand here. Nice touch. And often using kind of like a head as the main subject matter of the work here. Another violent silence, cool title. Selling out again. Oh no, 6 left at 38 Tezos, edition of 20. Continuing on, L'Inquisiteur. Almost the War of the World, last mojito before the big ride, digital drawing by Bernsey Witch, L'Inquisiteur. Fairly large at 6,000 pixels here, and here you see some kind of War of the Worlds robots in the background, and I really love the portrayal of the eyes in this work, and even it's almost got that cutout kind of collage sort of feel, a little bit of texture here in this piece, kind of a modern haircut, even just like the eyeshadow here is interesting. Really nice painting here. This came out October 28th. It's still only 3 Tezos. There are 8 left. Edition of 10. Get it while you can. Nuv 1914, Corriendo Juntas. So some one-of-ones from Nuv 1914, still available, and more very experimental, interesting work here. From Nuv 1914, combining gradients, illustration, and more. So just, a couple of figures here. Maybe they're dancing. Not sure. I don't know Spanish, so I'm not exactly sure on the translation there. Here's another one, Paraguas. And this is also 11 Tezos, edition of 1. If you don't have your one-of-one Nuv 1914s, there's some available. There's a couple of older ones too. Also listed by Cableen on Twitter. This was super interesting. I find this really romantic and relaxing. Just a bowl of fruit. Fabulous work here by Thomas Oven Tez. So, Colbet de Fruits, a moment of calm, peace, and relaxation view from the kitchen. So, I found this in Kableen's feed. Go follow her feed. She has great pics. There's a few others from her feed. I kind of borrowed a little heavier than normal, let's just say that, in this episode. So we'll point them out as we see them. Igor Kapustin, Helsinki. So another really cool illustration here, kind of surreal, similar to an earlier one we saw, but this one is a little different. Let me see if I can find the earlier one. Maybe it was this guy. And you see it's a very similar person here. Let's go back to the work. So kind of this futuristic, almost like on a futuristic building on the roof or something with what look like could be leaves. Helsinki, a city, and I think that's Finland. 8 Tezos, edition of 10, 7 left. Really cool artist here. Discovered on Louis Osborne's feed. It has some really, really cool illustrations if you've never seen Igor's work before. I love, like this one's a classic. You see it's 100 Tezos on secondary, and there's another one or two with cards. This one I think this is quite brilliant, isn't it? So yeah, just cool work here from Igor Kapustin. Ezra Eslin, this came out at, before Halloween. I missed it. Great red sky and classic sort of Ezra Eslin kind of mixing colors and lines, the classic line work, and mixing this kind of not, doing everything with outlines here, as you see with the ghosts. And so just a really cool, as you see also with the spider webs, kind of that's part of the style, I think, is not everything is outlined. And it kind of creates a cool contrast here. It kind of gives that Ezra Eslin feel a little bit. And here we see someone showing up to a house on fire and just someone having a smoke with maybe a little bit of blood, and maybe there's a murder up here. It's always kind of like violence, satirical violence, I want to call it. House Party, kind of an ironic name there. Seba Sestaro, memory number 8. Did I show this yesterday? It's possible. But I don't remember this part here. So I probably didn't show this. I think I missed this one because this looked new, this kind of pixelation at the top left. And I don't remember the background like that either. And a different take on memory. A great subject. The subject of memory, you think of Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory and what that actually means. Like my interpretation of that. What is the persistence of memory? That's probably your identity at the end of the day. If I had to hazard an interpretation of what we're talking about, the persistence of memory. But of course, there's a time element in that painting as well. But it's our identity probably comes from the persistence of memory. Anyways, memory number 8. As Jonathan says, let's not be prolix. Let's be brief. A 1 of 1. Let's just see what that went for here. Went for 80 Tezos. Nice sale, Seba. And Jake Studios, a 1 of 1 at auction for 8 Tezos with a Bart Simpson-like figure here. Welcome home, Bart. And another kind of surreal illustration, pink eyes, kind of pixelated, illustrated clouds here. Interesting piece from Jake Studios. And even the heart that turns into a thumbs up. Let's just see how much time is left here. 56 minutes to go, 8 Tezos for a 1 of 1 Jake Studios. If you run, you might get it. I'll try and upload this immediately. Fairyway. This was an artist. Now, I'm not sure if this was, I don't think this was Cabe Lane. I think I just saw this one. Fairyway. This is Gamoy. Man with Lovely Pig is a beautiful landscape that I can see today. I thought just kind of an interesting landscape. This is someone who I hadn't seen on Object before, and who had a profile and just interesting works. And so here with kind of a pig looking up at the moon and interesting colors here. And so Fairyway, let's just give them a follow. And as you can see here, just an interesting illustrator, drawing artist based in Indonesia. And of course, Skamra. How do I become a Tezos artist? Stable diffusion and diffusers, textual inversions. Great title. Absolutely great title. I love it. This could have been the cover of the show. A great idea, great concept. How do I become a Tezos artist? Could be the name of the show today's show. So just cool, AI kind of stretched out arm and everything. Again, I'm not sure if Skamra is tracing this himself or if, I don't think so. I think it's the AI that's doing the tracing here. But really nice, especially in here. See that? This laptop keyboard stuff in here is of particular note as well. The stretched out arm is pretty interesting, and even the shirt's pretty cool and nice, you know, and then you look at the nice noisy background with like what looks like dust, right? Nice. Like, very nice. Kazuhiro Ehara, a FUCK Leoncer, so not sure what that means. But here's the work. Nice small work here, kind of edgy as usual. Very wild. It looks like transformed pixels, using pixels that have been given the transform tool. Sorry, just adjusting here. We only get one take today. It is late in the day. Kazuhiro Ehara with another cool work here. Saiko was mentioning Kazuhiro, cool experimental kind of artist. Tom Bombattle, Enrichment, new one from Tom, edition of 20, now on secondary for 17, so selling out pretty quickly here at 10 Tezos each. So we are back using kind of limited palette here that you find in video games. Not exactly sure. It looks like almost like a Zoom call, but with a circular screen and a couple of these skull characters and almost like a 1940s version with the typewriter here. It's almost like 1940s sci-fi. I love the wallpaper too. Nice piece, great title. Enrichment, Tom Bombattle, 17 Tezos on secondary. Muji, purple imagery. Another timeless device. So just very cool work here once again from Muji. And this is on Tezos. This is 15 Tezos. And this is on Object. And there are 6 left. This was really cool. R. Presti. And this was sent to me, but I actually chose it before. And then as I was getting the tradscape at the end, I noticed one was sent to me. I think it was this one. Let me just make sure. By the way, this was already in the feed, R. Presti. I love these abstract pixel artworks. Just beautiful. Simple. It's, you know, this would hang really nicely in the same exhibition as a Santiago too. You could do like digital abstract art exhibition. Nice piece. November 6th, made up of abstract works made with the use of a mouse and a variety of digital painting programs, digital painting and new media. Very cool, and would hang really nicely with this Françoise Gamma as well, AMS tape. Really cool work that was just minted. It says it's from the 2009 series. Look at this. I mean, just a really cool digital artwork. Almost looks like a door here. Doesn't even matter. Again, maybe more just digital abstraction. Just very, very cool from Françoise Gamma here. Buy now for 3 Tezos. Just listed. Datura with another animated abstract here. Interactive object. Now, some of these don't work in my browser, so I assume how this works. This is the GIF on X. You can probably drag this around. So interesting. Datura is playing around with kind of 3D interactive programming. And also Zach linked to this work by by Danielle Oropeza. This is a brilliant interactive HYML edition by Danielle Oropeza. I definitely recommend clicking through and playing around with this piece. Drag your window out full size and refresh the page. So also looking like interactive artwork here. So pretty cool looking work here. This is just the video, of course, but pretty cool. I have another one here too. And this was posted by Zora. So this is available on Zora. I mean, pretty interesting. I've looked at quite a few different kind of video glitch art. This one looks original, doesn't it? Like, it's got its own feel. So as Zach says, just really cool. Continuing on. Sad Guy. Abyss Looking at You. And this is an open edition for 3 Tezos each. Only one has been minted, but going for another 30 days. And as you can see here, just a little, almost like processed, pixelated, bitmapped video is almost what that looks like. Interesting work, almost abstract, just an abyss looking at you. So very cool. Pablo Cerrone in collaboration with Cyberhens. Now, for those that haven't heard of Cyberhens, go check out Cyberhens on Tezos. Maybe I'll get an opportunity. Maybe we can go right here. Let's go to Cyberhands and see. Because if you don't know Cyberhands, it's actually it's one of those early kind of artists that I came across. And I remember there's Rada, just cool, only 11 Tezos. I think I bought this when these were probably at 11 Tezos when Tezos was at $4 or $5. So yeah, Rada Yankee here you can get for just $9.16. Just a really cool kind of digital trading cards. So Cyberhands is collaborating with Pamela Cerrone, who is going to be on an upcoming space as well. And so here, a lot of us are used to Pamela Cerrone's work. We've been looking at a lot of it. Here you start to see the power of collaboration, really, because you see it's smaller pixels with the Cyberhands, so it's got a different feel. It's quite interesting, and this is available on Zora. And Pixel Vuela Peluca, 20 frames, as they say here, and here is a big version. So just cool work from Cyberhands and Pablo Cerrone. Silva Santus, this was posted by Cableen. So nice find here with the Earth and the Sun and kind of a astronomical view here with this great noise so just a cool glitch ROM by Silva Santus, only 50 cents, edition of 50, there are 37 left. And I think also Cableen put this, Tamble Miz, also known as Mo Shit, as I like to call him. You're not here, or them. You are not here, and I thought this was a pretty nice piece. I really like the flashing screens to create this kind of break of sorts, or just contrast, I suppose you'd say, with the rest of this kind of busy but cool looking, edgy work here. Just cool experimentation from Temple Miz. And continuing, was that a 1 of 1? That was a 1 of 1. That would have been a nice one to pick up. Sold for only 5 Tezos to 1 of 1, who will also be on a Twitter space upcoming. I'm starting to plan them out a little more ahead of time now, which is a good way to be. Renki with a cool work here. So Renki, the ever prolific Renki, continues to just do really interesting things here with this great cube, kind of self-moving cube, Shin Kurashiki, and this is an edition of 10 for 10 Tezos each, just listed. Ranga Purnama Aji, Control Distraction. Almost has like a remixed 808 state feel to it. Kind of got a 90s feel to it, which I like, by the way. It's almost like the beat is matching up with the. It's almost like the beat was matching up with the movement there. Control distraction. Stillness and moving gestures accompany the attempt to control temporal and impulsive distraction that possibly came from the external surrounding and within. That was a quote. So anyway, cool work here. 1 minted at 5 Tezos, another 18 days it is available. And we saw a little preview of this just a moment ago. Beautiful, beautiful abstract here by LB, free mint on Zora. Analog video art, After Effects, Ethereal. I thought just a nice piece. It's got a really nice feeling to it, doesn't it? Kind of fits the screen beautifully here too. So I just really soothing animated abstract, again, using video glitch from LB. And Coda Nakazono with another winner. Oh, this is continuum number 66. So maybe this was an older one that was just posted on Twitter. But we can go to an older one. Look at that. So cool piece here from Coda Nakazono, popular artist. Let's just look at the recent. Since we don't have as many, it's nice. See, this is the advantage of not having too many tabs, to Jonathan's point. Now you can actually do a little bit more exploring, and we can explore questions live. Look at this. November 3rd, so we definitely missed this one. Continuum number 168. This may be a little slow to load, but pretty cool work here from Coda Nakazono, as per usual. So edition of 5 looks like it's sold out. Yes, it is. And one just sold for 35 Tezos. Pretty impressive. Very impressive. And there it is, probably more at normal speed. Very cool. And this is a collaboration between Gabrielle Coy and Sabato. These are the initial 56 seconds of Motherboard, a film post-cinema collab with Sabato that I've been developing over the last few months. The film will be minted on-chain this week. I wonder if they mean, like, to put a film on-chain. Maybe on Tezos you can afford to do it. Here's just a little... gonna kill the volume there, just who knows. I'm a little paranoid with the Twitter sometimes not accepting the uploads, and I think it might be just for various reasons. I think it's the nudes, actually, in the paintings, but you never know. Look at this. Sometimes I feel like I'm walking inside a motherboard, so it just looks really interesting and cool. Continuing on, Sky Goodman. A very cool piece here. Late autumn walk at sunset. And I follow Sky Goodman. That is a bug of Twitter, or X, that they really need to fix. And so just a really interesting piece here. Kind of an uncommon landscape. I was going to say unusual. An uncommon landscape from Sky Goodman here. Nice piece. Gotta love the tree. And this was sent to me, which was awesome from Sky Goodman. A very nice surprise here. Beautiful work here. A beautiful high top or sneaker shrouded in opposites highs. Part of the last 12 one-of-ones to mark in celebration the end of one of the most fun and beloved series, the Lost Sneaker AI series. Sometimes created raw, sometimes with glitch processes. This last batch of sneakers were prompted using Midjourney version 4, were pixel sorted and then further manipulated in a photo editor. Of course, as I always say, Sky Goodman loves to export between softwares, and I'm a huge fan of that, and it shows. Look at this. So just beautiful, thrilling. Thank you, and big shout out to Sky Goodman. Beautiful work here. Let's see what else we got. Danielle King with another interesting work here. Wallpaper Women, an exploration of AI collage, created with MProp's Open Studio. You know, all the really super interesting works we're seeing come out of MProps is kind of making me want to, one of the million things I want to do, makes me want to try out MProps. I mean, just to see interesting kind of crops here, where the person is kind of overlapping the line here. It's even the hair done like this. Just really interesting. So again, it's like the artist as editor here. You let the AI do its thing, and then you start retrieving the elements of creativity, but it's back to the art as recognition idea. Art as recognition, where it's not the machine is a great artist. It's the machine makes a bunch of stuff, and then the artist comes in and goes, that, this, that. Artist is editor. So to great effect here. This is a one of one. Let's see what this one sold for. 55 Tezos, and that sold within 20 minutes. So Danielle King on a roll. Tukes. Don't even need to check the name here. Stay tuned, everyone. I have 2 exciting releases coming up in December, highlighting my latest ventures in AI. More details will be shared shortly. Just an awesome artist here. An exciting artist. An artist on the cutting edge. A philosophical artist. Tukes with just more innovation here. Like I'm used to Tukes just being innovative here. Exactly, as Venta says. And Venta, great artist here. Incredible how you've managed to have the same feel and palette while changing your AI subjects over time. That's only possible because my heart is desperate. So go give Tukes a follow. You'll be one of the 20,000 that do. Olivera Durdovic, a penny for your thoughts. And this is a collaboration between Paper Doll, kind of had Paper Doll written all over it, and Art Brute Soul. Definitely had a Paper Doll feel, and just a cool work with the ambiguity here. It's like, is it a mirror and it's more of a psychological work, or is it a window that's with someone looking in? Is it almost like a memory? Is it an image? Right? So kind of classic to a certain degree. Paper Doll and I don't know if Paper Doll did that part of the composition, but you remember the guy who was surrounded by his father's works, and it wasn't clear if he was the father with his artwork, or if that was the sun surrounded by the artist's artwork. So that ambiguity, it's very great. It really adds a lot to a piece. That's what I'm trying to say here. Cool work here. Edition of 10, 6 left at 10 Tezos. Into the physicals we go. Really cool work here. Today is the last day to see Derek Aylward's Knockout solo exhibition, Good Morning Sunshine, in Los Angeles. You know what I loved about this? Yeah, sure, it's got a Picasso feel, but it totally has its own feel. And it's sort of going, yeah, it's kind of obviously a little bit Picasso, but it's totally its own thing. And it's brilliantly done. I think just a really attractive work of art. We'll give it a heart there. Kind of stand out from these others too. Like, this is a beautiful work, even all the little drips and everything. Really nicely done. Sandcastle. Interesting title. Here's another one. Paul Riedmuller. I can't resist creating these flower paintings. They're just too much fun. There's a ton of amazing, actually, physical art that's coming out right now. This is oil on wood, and just really interesting. I feel like there's something going on also in the physical art world. It's just really interesting. It's almost like the globe, like this international scene using the internet, is starting, I think, to overwhelm, what you might loosely call the system, what you might loosely call the establishment. Like, you're getting really high quality. It's like, does this person have a gallery? It looks like maybe they do, but you take my point, right? And then there's this person who is with the Christian Hulagerty gallery, with a great one with Dick Tracy, doing all these other works that we remember. Look at how good those look here. I mean, these are amazing. And they're going to sell like hotcakes, I would think, in somewhere like Palm Beach. Just really cool. And of course, we've looked at Kate Mary Arts before. Kate Mary before, really nice piece here. Cool colors, kind of an evolution of sorts, or development on the palette. Very cool. And of course, this is Flora Marquez, GM. Interesting kind of zooming in, using paper and everything, and just kind of collage and drawing. Just an interesting piece here from Flora Marquez, who looks like that person right there. And here's Steven Schwartzer again. Look at this one. There's so much, I was saying it yesterday, we're drowning in good art right now. And it's a real relief, because I felt like for about 10 years there, in the early 2000s, there wasn't much that I was excited about. Let's put it that way. And Faith Nichols. You can see my transplant mural every first Sunday at PS Vintage Market, Saturday mornings. Just a cool mural here. So that looks like Anne Faith Nichols, and just a nice work on the wall there. So, kind of not your typical mural here, is it? And look at this. So we've been looking at Donnie O'Donnell for weeks now, a few weeks, who makes all these great works. Here's the sculptural version. And again, it recalls that friend of mine who went to the show that I had at Factory Berlin 4 or 5 years ago, probably 5 years ago, and was saying, you should make a sculpture. It'll just give you more range. He was at Esther Schipper, Tom, I think his name was. It'll just give you more range. So that's when I see this, I go, smart artist and cool piece. And that's your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. How are we doing? 53 minutes. I was trying to get it shorter. Thanks for being this far. And until Demon Ego tomorrow, take care.